¿Cómo están, bitches? This is the Lineman Lounge. I am Mike. That is Evo. I don't know what happened there. I'm pretty sure the song was supposed to start, but did I miss it?
You normally got to manually do it yourself, and that's there's it's production problems because I'm not here at my normal space in order to click the buttons.
No.
If you can't tell, I'm at grandma's house.
Hell yeah, you are.
The doily screen, it's pretty nice. Also, audio and everything different off a laptop and the AirPods. So if I sound weird to everybody, I apologize. But obviously, family comes first, and we're out seeing family, working through some funeral arrangements, unfortunately. So, but of course, we're here, ready to rock the show. Get ready for some playoff football.
I totally missed the other intro song. It's all right. We went right to the countdown to me looking there all moon-faced, not ready. But that's going to make a great clip later for producer Amber. I got Ohio State, Texas on. I was expecting at least another minute before I was going to have to say anything. But guys, welcome in. This is the Lineman Lounge. I'm Mike. That's Evo. We got some fucking playoff football to talk about. Man, I'm excited. Time to get the playoffs underway. Gambled pretty good to start the year. We're going to get some playoff bets. We have college football going on. We had some college football last night. We also have some big Deshaun Watson news that we need to talk about. But Evo, I know we just talked about it. Funeral arrangements. How was the trip? How's everything going, man? I know, obviously, not the greatest of circumstances, but how is the lady holding up considering?
Yeah, things are, all things considered, pretty good. It's cold here in Colorado. Had a nice little 12.5-hour drive up the other day. So did that in pretty much one shot and got here right as it was starting to snow and get really windy, and got to plow grandma's driveway with a nice tractor, big old John Deere tractor that's got a giant snowplow attachment on front. So I felt very country of myself this morning. So that was cool. But yeah, things are going generally pretty good. So all things considered.
Yeah, all things considered. And you're going to be traveling back here. Oh, maybe not the next day. We just talked about it. You had an opportunity, possibly. Big news with these playoff games. Big news with these playoff games, though. The Rams will not have home field advantage per se. The Vikings
even less than per se. Less than per se.
Yeah, there's a lot of Vikings people that live down there in Arizona, snowbirds. So this kind of turns into a possible home field advantage for the Vikings.
Yes,
that's going to have big implications as we talk about, win or loser of this game as well. Because as we go through this, obviously we're going to continue to bet. We're going to go against the spread. But I think at this point, we should really bring back in some money lines. Because at the playoffs, that's all that counts. Who gives a shit if you cover in the playoffs? A win is a fucking win. Let's get some extra money in there as well.
All righty, I feel that, brother. Because I already put my bets in, actual bets on FanDuel, which for those of you who maybe haven't tuned in before, or you're tuning in again and just forgot, we're doing all of our lines off of FanDuel, not a paid sponsor yet this year. But if they want to be, we can talk. Hit us up.
For sure. Absolutely. But yeah, we're going to go off of all of the lines on FanDuel. Are we ready to get started into some of that gambling? Or should we take just a second to watch this beautiful Ohio State offense? Just shove that. Oh, come on, Junkins. Let's go. All right. It's time to gamble. I'm sorry, everybody. I know we're competing with Ohio State right now. We're going to have probably a lot less numbers. I'm watching the game as well. But we're going to do the gambling. We're going to do the first game right now. First game.
I say we jump in before we get into the gambling. We got news to talk about with your team.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and let's rip that Band-Aid off.
Yeah, okay, fine. Let's do it. Rip the Band-Aid off. And it's not, I don't know if it's ripping the Band-Aid off. It's going to be a weird situation because Deshaun is going to miss time again, longer than we expected. Popped the Achilles again. Reports possibly that's had something to do with rolling his ankle or whatever. TikToks, there's all sorts of rumors. I don't necessarily give a shit about any of that. But what this does is it really opens up a window or possibly shows that light at the end of the tunnel of the Deshaun Watson era, because the Browns have the potential to get a massive amount of salary cap back over the next couple of years. Now, the way this all works, I would love that if we just got the money back next year. That's not how it's going to work. But the idea is that for the time that he missed this year, the insurance policy is going to knock off about $14.9 million this year, which then we can roll over into 2025. So next year, we're going to get that extra $14.9 million. If he misses all of 2025, which are potentially, I guess it's possible, it doesn't make sense timeline-wise, and I'll ask you about that here in a second on why he would miss all of it. We could recoup $44.2 million for the whole 2025 season, which we can then roll over into 2026, which is really where that quarterback class gets potentially very nice. So massive implications because Deshaun pops the Achilles again. I am glad that the Deshaun Watson era is probably officially over at this point. I don't like people being hurt. I bashed people on this show for cheering for Deshaun Watson's injury because I think that's scumbag behavior. And I guess I'm wrestling a little bit with myself about where that line is. I'm happy it's over, but the only reason it's over is because he got hurt. But I'm not necessarily happy that he was hurt. It's very conflicting. I don't know what right is, what non-scumbag behavior is, but this kind of points to the end of the Deshaun Watson era, and really illuminates, hopefully for Myles Garrett, that there will be somebody else in there. I don't know if that's going to be enough, what he's going to want exactly, but everything I keep talking about comes back to what Myles Garrett is going to say is a good enough plan that he's going to want to stick it out here for hopefully his entire Hall of Fame career. And who are we going to get to play quarterback and pull the trigger that can take us to the promised land? So I know I said a lot there, brother. Where are you at on this whole thing now that you are kind of?
Well, so I'm just confused, and I guess I have to look into it more, how insurance policies work with the NFL, because it feels like it obviously can't be through like a normal insurance company, right? It's got to be some sort of something called insurance through the NFLPA or something.
So I don't know. Insurance is not my thing. I fucking hate insurance based on my recent history with the car accident. But I know from my time at film school that like normal ass insurance companies will also insure filmmakers and films being made. Sure. So maybe they'll insure fucking anything, including an NFL player's contract. I would
just think that cap wise, like the NFL and Players Association, they deal together with how the cap works, right? And so they would have to agree on the ability to have insurance policies mean anything, because quite honestly, the insurance policy I would think is for the owner. The owner is insured because the owner is the one paying money, right? But then it's I would think that it just would be worded as something different.
But the money still has to go out. It's guaranteed. It's just it comes off of that year. You're insuring that year of the contract.
Yeah.
From everything that I have read, anyways. Now listen, I am not. We got to let me get the ticker up here because this one's very important. We are not licensed professionals. This is all conjecture from a couple of dummy thick idiots. All right. I don't know for sure, but everything that I have read tells me that money comes off of the salary cap, not for that year. It's going to have to be rolled over. It's not like extra bonus money. It's just cap space that wasn't used from the year that the injury happened.
Yeah, that's the thing with the money, is that no matter what, the money's going out, the owner's paying the money. It's just, is it allocated rule wise
right
this year, the next year? That's why the cap is a myth. It's weirdly structured. It's the essentially,
and the Browns are getting lucky as fuck right now because they're going to be able to do some really crazy cap shit now.
Yeah, they're going to need good capologists there to understand what's going on. Essentially, it's like you walk into the strip club, you give them $100, and they give you back $100 of funny money. Except for the NFL is like, no, you only get $10 of that $100 of funny money. You come back tomorrow, we'll give you another 10. That sort of situation. And now the $10 of funny money that you were supposed to have, you're supposed to give five of that to Deshaun, but because Deshaun, aka Brandy, the stripper, isn't going to be getting up tonight, you get to get like four of it back or something like that. But you're still paying the money. The strip club's already got the money. It's
Yeah.
just you might get to use some of it on a different night.
I actually think that is 100% how it works.
All right, now that we've made NFL completely lascivious and akin to some sort of prostitution, I think we've all got it
I mean,
figured
is
out.
it not? Let's just call a spade a spade.
Absolutely. Look, well, I mean, you guys obviously are going to have to do something at the quarterback position. It was before Deshaun's injury. It
Yeah,
wasn't
so
really a
this
question.
just kind of rushes that timetable now because what the cap implications are going to be, or at least I think I know. I'll fucking say it that way.
I don't know if it
There is going to be
rushes, but
additional money.
yeah, I don't know if it rushes necessarily, but it definitely forces them to not be like, yeah, we're going to try to run with Deshaun next year and something else, and then go after a quarterback in 2026. This is now we know we do need someone in building who can play quarterback for us. It's not going to prevent us from looking at a quarterback this year or next year, but
Correct.
we do have to
We
have
have to
something
have
different.
somebody else. Somebody else will be playing quarterback for the Cleveland Browns because of this. Now, how this affects Deshaun going forward, I have no idea. I would imagine that he will never play another snap for the Browns. And you have to wonder, coming off of back-to-back Achilles tears of the same Achilles tendon, is he going to be able to come back from that physically? We have seen guys try to come back from the Achilles tear very recently in a very old Aaron Rodgers. So it's not the same as Deshaun Watson, clearly. And then a also much older Kirk Cousins. So those guys struggled coming back. Deshaun Watson is a far superior athlete to both of those guys, I'd say. But he's now torn that thing twice in the span of 3 months.
Torn
What does
that
that do to the
thing.
body?
Torn that thing. Look, that's the thing is, I would have assumed that if Deshaun Watson were to be healthy and released tomorrow, there's maybe a 30% chance that a team takes a shot on him because he looks washed and there's a lot of baggage with him. He's a bad person for all intents and purposes. Like I'll say that. The difference between him and Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers is a bad person who is still somewhat productive. Um, and even he is going to potentially struggle to find another contract here. Like if he gets released from the Jets because of other things, age, just dropped off performance and play and stuff like that. I think that this is very possibly Deshaun Watson's last moments in the NFL where he will ever be on an NFL roster. Like I don't know that we'll ever see him suit up in a uniform again because look, that injury they're talking this potentially and probably ruins his entire 2025.
Yeah.
I assume that, the surgeries that they're able to do now, obviously you see some of those guys come back relatively quick for an Achilles injury, but to re-injure the same one, you didn't allow it to heal correctly the first time. Like that obviously is some sort of a setback where the entire 2025 season is now in jeopardy. So if we're looking at a guy in 2026, this is the experiment of letting Deshaun Watson sit for a couple years has already been done. It doesn't work,
Correct.
and the expectation is that he's only going to degrade further. It's just more question marks on a guy who did not do good things for your franchise as far as publicity and did not do good things for your franchise as far as money, didn't do good things for your franchise on the field. And other teams are going to look at that. And I don't know that you're going to have any of them say, well, we could fix that,
Right.
So this is very detrimental to him and his
Yeah.
career.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, he's paid. So really, what does it matter?
Okay, I mean, so yeah, there he is for sure paid. I guess you can worry about the mental aspect. I mean, I also agree that he's probably not the greatest person in the world. But I have a question because it's been brought up a lot, and I've been fucking on Twitter and reading shit all day about this situation. Um, like, why is it going to take all of 2025? Is it because it happened the second time? Because
I would think that's
it,
got to be it.
in my mind, that makes sense, right?
Hmm.
But I'm not a fucking doctor.
Right.
Clearly, look at this dumbass haircut. I'm not a doctor, so I don't know. But like, that normally would take what 6 to 12 months to come back from.
Yeah,
I
you would
mean,
think.
he could be back like at the end of the year, maybe. I don't know. Like, but it makes sense that it would take up all of 2025. So there's a lot of conflicting reports. This entire situation has blown up beyond a football situation. This is like it's becoming a pop culture humanity situation with the way the media has portrayed it, the way we talk about it. But like it's something that is so ridiculous that it only happens in Cleveland. I feel like it's just the story that keeps on fucking giving, and now we have another chapter of it. Because what this also is going to do is kick that down the road a little bit more.
Yeah, the good news is I'm assuming his contract isn't going to toll if he can't play next year. You know, we've seen contracts toll in previous years, like Teddy Bridgewater. I know for my Vikings, when he had the horrible knee injury during training camp, it was the last year of his deal. The Vikings requested for his contract to be tolled a year. So essentially, 1 year does not count on that contract. And then we
Right.
were able to retain him for their next year. I don't expect the Browns to be like, well, yeah, let's toll this contract and push it down the year because, again, it doesn't change the financial aspect of it really. It
No, the
just
money's going to come
changes
out
team
at some point.
control. Yeah, it just changes team control as far as how many years. And essentially, the team's like, hey, by no fault of our own, a horrific thing, we're losing an entire year. Um, like, can we get the contract extended essentially? So I don't expect the Browns to do anything like that. No, I mean, like at the end of the day, this is it. It doesn't change things too dramatically as far as looking towards this next offseason. Because if there was any thought of, hey, we're going to have a competition, Deshaun and another guy, like that seems like career suicide for whoever makes that choice.
Barry and
Stefanski was
Stefanski, who are
very,
already on absolutely fucking thin ice with basically every person in Cleveland.
they're like you said, we're not here to applaud or root for or be happy about an injury. But those guys probably kind of are. They're probably like, we don't want him to get injured, but whew, a little bit of weight off our shoulders. Now
And
it's
that's
not
the
like,
dirty part about it, right? You're like,
yeah,
man, I'm glad this is over, but the only reason it's over is that injury. And that it feels gross a little bit. Um, there's just no, that's just part of it. You have to deal with that.
yeah. It is part of the game to an
Yeah,
extent. Injuries are
it
part of
is.
the
It is
game.
part of
So
the game.
it
Yeah.
is dirty for us to be football fans because football includes injuries.
I
You
mean,
know,
as
if we
a
could make
football player,
everyone,
you know that every once in a while somebody was just trying to get it, and it didn't matter. Like,
yeah, for sure, for
yeah,
sure. All right. Well, look, if you looked at my mock version 1.0 that's currently on the No Sleeves Network page, I have the Browns going after a guy that you've said that you wanted there in Justin Fields. I had some other thoughts. I thought about really forcing my Kirk Cousins line down your throat, but I
yeah,
felt like he fit pretty well there with the Colts. But if you want to see other moves and things like that that have happened, or just more fun postulation, you can read that mock. I've got
I
at
like
least one that I thought was a surprise uh, involving the Saints. So, there's different moves, there's trades, there's stuff like that. So
there was a
go
lot
ahead
of
and take
trades.
a
I
look.
was surprised about how many trades happened so quickly in your mock.
Well, I feel like
Are you
that's the thing
thinking
is
that's a lot of action at the top?
I mean, in reality, it was what, two or three trades there at the top. There was your Browns,
Mm-hmm.
and things like that. There could be a little bit of movement because without there being quarterbacks there, I don't think teams are going to be standing as pat. I think there's there's very few true blue chip players in this draft, but there's a lot of good players. So teams could definitely maneuver a little bit. It might cost you less draft capital to move in this draft at the top because of it, which might open the market a little bit more for some teams.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, brother. Oh man, the shot. So I'll pop this one comment up here. Yeah, that's kind of how I felt as well when I came. I was like, "What the fuck do you?" The setback. And what's crazy is that apparently there were some rumblings that possibly when they heard about setback, that they knew that that's what happened. That's been the case, and then we were going with setback as the
Look, and again, we're not doctors. We don't know what if it's a full tear. If it was a full tear to begin with, maybe it's just a partial tear or something at the surgical site. Who knows? But if there's talks about it being potentially the entire 2025 season, I would expect it to be a significant injury.
Yeah, very much so. All right, man. You ready to start? Ready to start talking some money, some gambling?
Yeah, let's get into it.
All right. So we got super wild card weekend starting up this week. First game. I'm interested to see where you go in this one. We got Chargers. We got Texans playing down there in Houston. Home dogs, Texans +3 over under 41.5 on the money line. Chargers -158 and the Texans are +134. I know I kind of sprung it on you a little bit here late with the money line as well.
No problem.
But how do you feel in this one? Where are you going? Can the Texans kind of get over that hump? They've had plenty of bulletin board material this week, apparently. Where do you feel about that? Does bulletin board material make a difference in this situation?
Not really to me, man. This is the playoffs. Like, I like this Chargers team. I was super stoked about the Texans coming into this. And look, yes, this is basically a brand new season. However, just like when we start off a brand new NFL year, we think we know the teams, but we get surprised a lot. That could happen in this situation, but we are talking about a week off, a week's difference. We kind of have seen what these teams are, which makes the betting a little bit easier. I like this Chargers team better right now, man. The way they're playing is good. To see how Quentin Johnson played last week, having a career game and stuff like that, having a little bit more receiving options, finally getting J.K. Dobbins back, that Chargers team is rolling. So I got this game at -2.5 for the Chargers. I'm just going to take the money line on this one. It's not as good of odds. It's at -3 now, I believe, correct?
It is -3 now.
Yeah, and that's probably good, but because I don't have that kind of hook working in that direction to get it at the 3 points, and it could be actually a 3-point game by the end of it. Dicker the kicker could be the one that gets the Chargers over the hump, and they win by 3. I'm going to take the money line on this one. I feel a little bit better about that at -158 odds.
All right. I am in agreement with you on the bulletin board material. Bulletin board material is great at lower levels. High school, probably the fucking greatest thing in the planet, dude. College comes a little less important. Pros, these guys don't give a fuck. Yeah. They're professionals at this point. Sure, maybe if it's a division rival, there's a little bit of pride, maybe a couple guys John, but this big time bulletin board material thing, I don't think it matters nearly as much. The Texans have scuffled. I really thought they were going to blow up. I thought CJ Stroud was going to skip over that sophomore slump. He didn't. The Chargers are getting a complement of guys back. They got J.K. Dobbins back, which was huge for that offense. I'm going to take the Chargers to drop the 3 here. I do think they go in there and prove that they are a better team.
All righty.
With that, we'll move on to the next game. This is an interesting game because it makes it really easy when you're talking money lines, but you can get a nice little action if you're going on the spread. Steelers playing the Ravens in Baltimore. Ravens favored at -9.5, -590 on the money line. So you're not getting much back there. Over under 43.5. Evo, we've used the big F word. We think the Steelers are frauds. But 9.5 points in a playoff game between division rivals is a lot of fucking points. Do you even think about the spread to bring that money down, or you just take your couple bucks and run with the money line?
So I took this game at minus 550 money line when I did my parlay, which by the way, this is a great week if you want to get 100% parlay in where you pick every game. 6 games. I mean, it's way easier to do that. So I would suggest if you are feeling like betting for a parlay, this would be the week to try that out. Try to get 100% on these things. Like I said, I went the easy route on this one. I got it at minus 550. The odds have shifted a little bit there. Steelers now getting 9.5 points. And this is the thing: Steelers do play tight games versus division rivals. They play tighter games in the playoffs. The Ravens absolutely should win this game. I do not expect the Steelers to shock them. 9.5 points though. I mean, that's not bad. That's not bad. I'd feel a little bit better about 10 because I feel like that's right about where it's going to sit. I'm going to go ahead and take the 9.5 points at minus 105. I
Yeah.
feel like being a little bit dangerous with it. Uh, I had such good gambling the previous year because I did a lot of money lines on these games. Because even if it's diminishing returns with that minus now 590 to take the Ravens to win, uh, it's still a smart play to just say, I don't know, that's a big spread. I'm going to take the Ravens here. But in this one, I think the Steelers have a chance to keep it that little bit closer. Look, they have looked bad. They have looked bad the past 4 weeks, but they also have been going up against playoff competition, to be fair. So I'm going to take the Steelers plus the points here. Maybe one of the games I feel a little bit scared about taking that spread because and if you're scared off it at all, add that minus 590 money line to a parlay. It'll even it all out because the parlay by the end of this, I'll go through each of those bets I did. I got mine at plus 2100, 2103 to be exact, which isn't a bad little parlay.
Not a bad little parlay at all. And I'm not gonna lie, I was shocked. So I wrote up mine, and I was writing up Steelers plus 9.5, and I was expecting to move over and go Ravens money line. But listen, man, the Steelers have been playing terrible. 9.5 is a shitload of points in a playoff game, and this is going to be the third time they've played each other.
It's the largest spread in this wild card weekend.
Yeah, and here's the thing: if this doesn't work, if Russ isn't playing well, at no point are you tied to that anymore. Like you could just be done. Throw Justin Fields out there, see if he can come back and make this game closer. Try to go win it. Like both of those dudes are on 1-year contracts. Like if it's not going well, at this point, you have no reason to fucking hold back. Make the switch and see if you can make something happen. I think for sure they can keep this thing within 9.5. Because if they bring in Justin Fields for any reason, the game gets slowed down, fewer points. Yeah. Steelers plus 9.5 for me, man.
All right. Awesome.
All right. So on to our next one. If you're ready, brother.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. We got Broncos heading to Buffalo. Bills favored by 8.5. Another big spread on the money line. Bills minus 460. Broncos plus 360. Over under 47.5. First game on Sunday. Bills heavily favored at home. You riding the money line here, or you gonna stay with the spread? It's a lot of points still.
Yeah. Look, these teams, this is, I think, the closest thing to a surprise upset that we have in the wild card weekend. The Broncos have a really good defense, man. Like the Bills' offense is fantastic, but that Broncos defense is really good. And if there is a weakness, it is the Buffalo defense a little bit. Bo Nix has done some good things there. Sean Payton has gotten that team working well. We don't know how Bo Nix is going to be in that sort of spotlight. Playoff style football is just a different thing altogether. Playing out there in the cold in Buffalo, it's a different environment for sure. I'm going Broncos plus the points here. I got them at 8.5 before. I'll stick with my 8.5 now. The smart play here is to expect Buffalo to win this one, and at minus 460. Yeah, it's not great, but again, add that into a parlay to offset that minus 460 a little bit. I'm going Broncos plus the points here because look, they've been a surprisingly good team this year. If there is one team that could go out there and surprise the Bills right now, I think it's this Broncos team.
All right. So we disagree here. Kind of our first disagreement of the playoffs so far. But I think the Bills. I think you think the Bills are going to win, but I think
I
the
do.
Bills are going to kind of go out and smack them. I think what Bo Nix did this year far surpassed every single expectation that damn near everybody had for him, with maybe the exception of Bo Nix, because you don't play that well without believing in yourself. I'll give you that nice
Believing.
line. Believing. Okay. But the Bills are really fucking good, and this is Bo Nix's first playoff game, and he's going up to Buffalo in January. I don't like his fucking chances at all, bro. I think the Bills go out there and smack them and kind of put a stamp and say, hey, we are ready to go. This is the year we go and try and compete and win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, look, it absolutely could be the case because this Bills team, we've seen them go and hang multiple games of 40 plus points 2 weeks in a row when they really need to, and then they get to take kind of their off weeks, the past 2 weeks. So um, I don't expect this to be an off week for them. They are going to have guys generally rested because they didn't have to go all out last week. So it's a good spot for them to be in to really put up some numbers. But at the end of the day, those numbers kind of don't matter. The W does. That's the only thing is the scoreboard. Those are the numbers that matter. And so I think the Bills are going to play to win, and Broncos are going to play to win. I just think that the Broncos might have that moxie, especially on the defensive side, to create some havoc there for that Bills team.
All right, all right. So speaking of playing to win, if you guys want to play to win a jersey, head over to our Twitter or our Facebook group. You will find a message that has a Lineman Lounge bracket in there. All you guys got to do, subscribe to the Lineman Lounge YouTube, fill out your bracket, make sure you have a final score in there for the Super Bowl. Show us a screenshot with your bracket and the subscription, and you guys are entered into our bracket challenge to win a jersey. Jersey of your choice. Restrictions apply. I'm not buying you a game worn signed jersey, but I will buy you a normal, standard, decent jersey. If you guys do these things, so head over to the Facebook or the Twitter. Follow all the instructions. Win yourself a jersey. Dude, last year, Chiefs fan got a Derek Brooks jersey.
Yeah, very cool.
Over on one of our Facebook watchers.
Yeah. Look, I haven't filled mine out. I don't even know if I'm going to get a chance to fill my bracket out, but I'm going to definitely attempt to before the night is done because, look, we got games. We got games tomorrow.
Tomorrow afternoon.
All right. Ready for our next one here? A little Packers Eagles action.
Hell yeah, let's do it, brother.
All righty. I'll preface this one. We got Green Bay going into Philadelphia. Philadelphia is favored -4.5 points, -115 odds, or you can get -105 odds for giving those points to the Green Bay Packers. Money line -245 for Philly as the favored, or +200 for that Packers team, which isn't bad because this game's a lot closer than some people might have expected. Things were a little weird because of injuries, right? But Jalen Hurts has been practicing. He is cleared. He is going to play and start. Jordan Love, same thing. Apparently there's hand numbness and whatnot, but he's going to be playing. No Christian Watson, done for the year. Obviously, we talked about that last show. Horrible knee injury. So in general, the starting quarterbacks are going to be out there in this one. For me, though, this is big. This is in Philly. Philadelphia has just kind of been rolling on everybody. Packers have not looked good at the end of the year. They just are coming off of a loss to the Bears. It's a tough way to enter the playoffs. At +200 odds for the Packers on the money line, like if you're trying to go with, let's pick some underdogs, I wouldn't blame you for looking at that one. But right now with 4.5 points, I do like Philly in this game. But I can get Philly for -245. That's not going to completely tank a bet. I'm taking Philly money line.
Philly money line. Okay. So for me, man, I'm gonna still ride with the spread here. The game that's gonna really fuck me up is coming up in a second. I think the Eagles with Jalen Hurts back are gonna be just fine. Even with Jordan Love being healthy, I don't know that he necessarily elevates the Packers all that much. We have talked ad nauseum about his accuracy issues. This team has completely kind of changed their philosophy, become a very run heavy team when it was mostly relied on the quarterback to make plays. That is no longer the case. And that is because I don't think Jordan Love can carry them the way their past quarterbacks could. Jalen Hurts has proven that he can take his team at least to the potential to win a championship. He's gotten to the Super Bowl. The addition of Saquon Barkley has made that team incredibly dangerous, and I think that continues here. I'm going to drop the points, minus 4.5 for the Eagles.
All righty. Next up, Washington Commanders going into Tampa Bay versus the Buccaneers. Bucks are favored at home minus 3 points at minus 105 odds. You can give those points to the commies for minus 115 odds, plus 136 for the commies to win on the money line, minus 162 money line for the Bucks. Mike's thoughts on your boy Baker Mayfield and this Bucks team going up against probably the rookie of the year, offensive rookie of the year, in Jaden Daniels.
I think that what Baker did this year was fantastic. I think that the way Baker has conducted himself recently has been spectacular as well. I think he has grown up from the guy that he was here in Cleveland. I'm going to bring us back into Deshaun Watson real quick, and then I'll give you why I wanted to have money lines in this today's show. However, I remember there being a saying that somebody
telephone.
They needed an adult in the room. What is that? Okay. They needed an adult in the quarterback room because Baker wasn't it. And then you see people in the fan base talk about Baker like, he was a child. He was on social media, this chip. He wasn't the guy he is now, and he wouldn't have been because he had to leave. He had to be knocked down and all that shit, right? So all of that stuff about Baker was a red flag. Like, he shouldn't be online. He shouldn't have all these chips. He shouldn't do all of this shit. And now he has grown out of that. Deshaun Watson was perpetually online doing all of the same shit that people were bitching about Baker Mayfield doing. Baker grew up once he left here. I don't know if Deshaun regressed once he got here, but he was not an adult in the room either when we was here. I think what Baker did this year is great. However, I really want to take the extra fucking odds and make the extra money on the Commanders plus 136 because that's the bet that I'm taking. That's the longest odds, and I think the Commanders are a way better team than the Buccaneers are right now. The ability of Jaden Daniels to dissect a defense and absolutely reeling Bucs secondary, bro, I'm taking the Commanders in the upset on the money line.
All righty. So, well, when I made my bet, I actually couldn't decide. I couldn't decide if I wanted to do the money line, if I wanted to do a spread here, because I could make arguments for both these teams. So what I actually ended up doing was taking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers team total over of 26.5 points for a low 110 odds. I felt a little bit more comfortable with that because I know that this team, that offense can put up points. But for our purposes here with the show, I think that the Buccaneers, I lean towards them winning, just kind of like how they're getting the minus 3 points. I actually think it's a little bit closer to 1.5, maybe. That's why I'm taking the Commanders plus the points here. I don't blame you for taking those plus 136 odds because I absolutely think that the Commanders could be dangerous. They really have a good chance to win this game. But I'm going to go ahead and hedge my bets a little bit. I'll take the plus 3 for the Commanders in this one.
All right, Commanders plus 3. Oh, not minus 3.
And that,
ready for the last
one? Our last game. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm going to get into it here. So the Vikings playing the LA Rams, not in LA anymore. thoughts go out to LA and how the city is burning down. It's terrible. I don't know if you saw the Wilf family donated money towards the relief efforts and whatnot down there. Happy to see my ownership doing that. Game's going to be played in Glendale at the Cardinal Stadium. Man, I was on there. I got in queue. I got in line. I had availability for tickets. They are actually reasonably priced, and I was super stoked. I was about to pull the trigger, but I'm going to be sticking out here longer. Not going to be able to make it. So, which is fine. Family comes first, of course, always. But you brought this up earlier. This went from an LA home game to basically like a Minnesota home game. Yes, proximity to LA is close, and a lot of people are probably bugging out, and they can make it down there. But also, if my home is going through a natural disaster, I'm not really thinking about football that much. So if I already had tickets to the game, which were probably exorbitantly expensive, yeah, maybe I'll go. But now that it's not there, it's off the table for me, and it's probably off the table for a lot of Rams fans. I got told, I was like, well, there's, people, fans of every team everywhere. And yeah, that's true. But Phoenix, there's Vikings sports bars and Packers sports bars and stuff like that. Any of those cold weather areas, Phoenix is one of those bug out points. It is where the snowbirds go during the winter. And damn if it isn't snowy up there in the northern states right now and cold. There's that big old pink dick of snow that this is on all those graphics that are going through.
You are going to have right now.
You are going to have a lot of people from Minnesota down there. I have already seen posts in my little town of Sierra Vista in Arizona of Vikings fans saying, hey, I got tickets to the game, can't make it. I'm giving them away already. Like there's Vikings fans who are prepared for this, who are pulling the trigger at the prices that those tickets were at. It's a no-brainer to go and see such a unique experience like this, a playoff football game in Arizona, not involving Arizona and not being the Super Bowl, getting to go see your team. It's pretty damn cool. It is gonna be like a home game. The Skol chant is gonna be loud there. Vikings are favored in this one right now, -2.5 points. I got this before when it was still in LA at -1.5 points for my Vikings, and you know which way I'm going, brother. I'm taking the Vikings to win, but it's better odds for me to drop the points for my Vikings, and the difference between 1.5 and 2.5 isn't that big in my mind. I'm dropping those points. The thing that we have to consider here is the Vikings' performance in the last game.
Yeah.
Right. It was atrocious, especially in the second half, but mostly, and this comes down to Sam Darnold in that offense. We've seen Sam Darnold in other games this year where things get a little bit loose. He's unable to control the emotions, it seems like, and he starts sailing things high. And that's really what we saw. We saw him not getting good reads. We had open receivers in the end zone where he's missing them or not throwing to them. It was a different type of atmosphere being in Detroit. This is going to be, again, a different type of atmosphere being in Arizona. Normally, KOC is able to get Darnold kind of reeled back in after a couple of those drives. But look, the game could have been dramatically different last week had he made one or two of those touchdown throws. If that safety had happened, that the game is a lot closer, right?
For sure.
This game, I think, is going to be a close one. I think it is going to come down to the wire type situation. But I think that now Sam has that out of his system. First time in a real playoff game where he's playing. KOC is going to be able to rein him in a little bit. You know that they did some soul searching this week to say, how did we get our asses kicked? Because this was the first ass kicking we've had this year. The two losses that we had previously versus Detroit and, but before this game, Detroit and the Rams, they were both very close games.
It was the first time that Sam saw ghosts. Because he was terrified of the moment.
They brought a ton of zero pressure.
They brought a lot. They brought a lot of blitz for sure. But he's had answers every week. He knows the answers. He has his answers.
Yep.
But he didn't take them. And when he did, he sailed it. This last week was a tough week, tough spot for Sam. Now, don't worry, we're not gonna go crazy.
I know, I know. This is the one thing that gives me pause about this game is that when things like this happen, natural disasters and stuff like that, it can be used as a positive motivation for the team that is affected by it.
Yeah.
With things being so recent right now, I feel like you might not have a chance for that positivity and that potential boost. You probably have a lot of guys, a lot of players who are worried about their homes right now, worried
Mine's
about their
elsewhere.
families and stuff like that. Playoff football matters, but hey, we're expecting to play at home. My home might not be there. Now I've got to go on the road. How are things going to work? How am I going to get back home? Because the Cardinals flew planes out to pick up the LA players, and get them out to Arizona. So their minds might not be as 100% on the game as it should be. All right. So look, this game is again going to be a little bit different. TJ Hawkinson, who hopefully fixes his whoopsies from last game because he was dropping a bunch. Hopefully he provides a little bit of boost. Puka Nakua, we weren't prepared for last game. Brian Flores came out this week and said as much. He said we didn't expect him to play, so we were on our heels with that one and trying to do our best. I think we'll have a little bit of a game script for that. And then there's a great storyline in this as well. It's Kevin O'Connell going against his old mentor in McVay. They're buddies. That's going to be a grudge match. But I'm taking my Vikings. I'm dropping the points here. I was happy to get it at -1.5. I'll be happy to take it at -2.5. And I'm excited to see where this team goes next week.
Worry about this week first, brother. Don't get ahead of yourself. Trust me. I know how that works out.
It's positivity.
Positivity. Okay. I am also feeling positive about your Vikings to the tune of -2.5. I do think that Sam saw ghosts. It was a huge spot, biggest spot he's ever played in probably his entire life.
Yeah.
And he struggled. But because of that, I think you can have a bounce back. Sam Darnold has kind of proven throughout this entire year, motherfucker's got a little bit of resiliency. Obviously. If you go from where he was to where he's at now, the man is resilient. And I give him mad fucking props for that. So you go out on a national stage and fall flat on your face in a big moment and you look like it. I got faith the kid at this point can bounce back. At least this week, I'm going to take Vikings -2.5.
Yeah.
He's at the minimum earned my respect as a viable starting quarterback in this league. He's got to learn how to deal with pressure, but the man can play football now. I'll give him that.
That's the pressure argument. Like I know that I've made it, but he's one of the more pressured quarterbacks, and he's been one of the more successful quarterbacks under pressure this entire year.
Yeah, but the stage,
It was the spotlight. It was the spotlight pressure of the game.
And goes, baby.
This is going to be a spotlight game as well. This is a Monday night game, and this is also
every playoff game is a spotlight game. You're a standalone game. Everybody in the country is eyes on you. The top 25 rated things that is watched on television damn near every fucking year are 25 NFL games, unless there is an election year or the fucking Olympics.
And look, to be completely honest, this game probably impacts his future salary more than anything else as well.
For sure.
Because teams want to see, if you have a bad game, can you bounce back, and can this guy perform in the playoffs? That's going to be a huge factor towards his next contract. So he does have a lot riding on the line still.
Oh yeah, a lot riding on the line. I think he'll get it done this week. I think he will. But my man, that's all the games. That's some Deshaun Watson talk. We got anything else? You got anything else you want to talk about? I mean,
I know you said you wanted to do a bold prediction for the playoffs.
Yes. Let's do a bold prediction for the playoffs. Whew. So I had a couple of these. I'm gonna go with one, which I think is my boldest of the predictions. I think Jaden Daniels leads his team to the NFC Championship this year. I think he wins multiple games and kind of cements himself as a dude that's going to be reckoned with for a very long time. He's underdog week 1 against them. Okay, so I mean, Bucks won their division, but we're having an 11-win team, and we're talking versus the Bucks. Like I don't understand why it works this way. I think he's kind of being disrespected a little. I think the Commanders are being disrespected a little bit. I think he goes ham. I think he takes them all the way to the NFC Championship game. I'm not going to say he takes them to the Super Bowl, though. I think that is reserved for another team.
Well, based off of the way that we kind of did some of our picks here, that means that he's got to beat one of either the Lions or the Eagles. Those are two pretty damn tough games.
Yep.
All right.
Yes, they are.
All right. Well, my bold prediction, and I don't know if this is super bold. Get it? But I'm going with neither of the 1 seeds make it past the divisional round.
Whoa! Wow!
I don't think the Chiefs make it past the divisional round. Look, we know this narrative, man. The Chiefs have not been great this year. They have good teams. They have played real close. If they get the 7 seed, if the Broncos somehow win, the Broncos lost to the Chiefs this year off of a blocked field goal. I think they can win that game.
And also
man.
kick the shit out of them 38-0 on the backups.
Yeah, I think that they can win that game. The Steelers, I don't have faith in them if somehow they make it past the Ravens.
They're not.
But the Chargers, also a good bet to possibly be playing the Chiefs in the divisional round. I think the Chargers can do it, man. I think they can do it. And then looking at the Lions, look, I understand last week versus my Vines, they put a beat down on them, but props to Aaron Glenn and the scheme that he drew up because it worked. It works against Darnold. But they're still injured. I know you're getting David Montgomery back, but you're still injured. You're going up against heavy hitters who they don't have tomorrow to look forward to. Everyone's throwing the kitchen sink at you. And I think that any one of these teams that we kind of brought up here, the Packers are still sneaky good. The Commanders, there's a good chance that they're going to be a really good team. My Vikings, if they get Sam Darnold to go back into Detroit and fix things, it's real tough to beat a team 3 times. Like, that's a tough one, right? Any of these teams here in the divisional round that could be going in there, I think they got a shot.
Okay. So your bold prediction prompted a question. You think the Lions get knocked out early, right?
I think that it is a good possibility.
So that means that there are going to be,
but if they don't, they're going to the Super Bowl.
Maybe a hire happens for one of these coaches who are highly sought after the Lions very quickly, right? Because, they're already talking about interviews, going to accept interviews, not accept interviews. Interview not accepted up in New England. There's very clearly, everybody knows why people get certain interviews. And we're talking about the Rooney Rule. I love the fact that Aaron Glenn said, no, I'm not fucking going up there. He knows that's not a real interview because they're going to hire Vrabel. All signs point to the fucking Patriots hiring Vrabel. So Ben he's Johnson's not going to be the pawn in the Rooney Rule.
No, Rooney Rule's done. They already interviewed Pep Hamilton and
I thought Byron Leftwich. I thought he was one of their first ones.
No, the interviews for the Patriots are already done for the Rooney Rule. They're cleared of that. It was Pep Hamilton and Byron Leftwich. But
I apologize.
I get the Aaron Glenn not wanting to go up there. Like, he probably doesn't want to. There's enviable stuff about it. They have a quarterback and they have a lot of cap space to work with and a high draft pick. That's an enviable spot to go to. But also, he's competing with Ben Johnson, who also has an interview there. And I think that one of two people, it's Vrabel or Ben Johnson. Those make the 2 cents because Vrabel being a New England guy makes a lot of sense. But if you can get Ben Johnson, he's the hottest offensive coach name out there. If Ben Johnson says yes, that I would take this job, then absolutely I think the Patriots go for him, because who else do you want molding your young quarterback who already showed promise this year?
Well, yeah, Ben Johnson, obviously. Over the defensive guy in Vrabel.
Yeah. But that's not what's going to happen. Ben Johnson's going to the Jaguars. You'll see that if you look at the mock I did.
You had some good stuff in that mock. Maybe Do you think Ben Johnson wants to go down there and rehabilitate Trevor Lawrence?
I think that he looks at him and thinks this could be the next Jared Goff.
I could do that.
Yeah, especially when I don't have to be under Trent Baalke. Trent Baalke's gone too. Check it out.
Did it happen?
No, it says it's in the mock. It's in the mock.
Okay. It's like this. When did that happen?
No, it's
Well,
in the mock.
I mean, that should happen. I love the fact that that's mock.
Yeah.
I missed that.
Yeah. I even got the guy that Ben Johnson wants as his GM in there.
I didn't love everything that happened with my team. I mean, I liked the Justin Fields thing, but there were some questionable things that maybe were in there.
Yeah. You're not gonna love everything. No one's gonna love everything.
No, absolutely not. Trust me.
I mean, real life, I know you don't like the way that things happen with your team. So
I'm very loud about that.
Yep.
Well, my man, I think that about does it. I'm gonna go finish watching this Ohio State Texas game. Pretty decent game from the bits and pieces that I've been trying to catch here and there through our conversation. I apologize if my eyes are dark. I mean, I'm ADD as fuck anyways, but my man, we got anything else? Or are we ready to get out of here?
I'm ready to go over that. I think I got some Cards of Humanity waiting for me.
Hell yeah.
Cards Against Humanity.
Again, yeah, whatever. Either way. Enjoy the family time. I'm sorry it's under the circumstances that they are. Best wishes to you and the family. To everybody else, guys, thank you very much. We had quite a pop tonight. No Sunday morning show. All the games are covered here. We'll see you guys again on Tuesday next week. We'll recap Wildcard Weekend, take a preview at the divisional round, and maybe have some more fun shit to go over. But guys, thank you very much. Everybody that tuned in, wherever you are, thank you. If you would not mind, please take the time, head over to our YouTube page, hit the subscribe button. It would mean a great deal to us. We're trying to get to that 1,000 subscriber mark, and every person counts. We're going to get out of here. I'm Mike. That's Evo. This is the Lineman Lounge. Interact with us anywhere below. X, Facebook, TikTok, and that YouTube page. But with that, let's say goodbye. Evo, give the people one last word before I tell them to fuck off.
Skull in Arizona.
Ooh. Hey, there you go. Looks good there. Yeah. Guys, I'm Mike. That's Evo. This is the Lineman Lounge.
See, you got to do it this time. It's not all me pressing the button.
This is what happens when we switch it up. And we're still going.
And